Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Tim Mikhelishvili. I'm CEO and co-founder of Pharma, a performance analytics agency in life sciences that combines sports and data science principles to quantify and communicate the business impact of medical affairs organizations in pharma and biotech. Today, we're going to be talking about an event that you won't want to miss, that will be one of the best investments of your time and your attention this coming fall, September 18th through October 4th. And today I'm joined by two expert judges, leaders in medical affairs, who are vested personally into innovation, into the future of this function in our industry. Matt Lewis, Chief AI Officer at Nizio Medical, and Michael Kahn, Senior Director of Medical Operations, Medical Affairs at Spark Therapeutics. Matt and Michael, welcome. Great to have you here today.
Thanks, Tim. Great to be here.
Thanks, Tim. Much appreciated.
I want to ask you first, before we get into the format and the registration criteria, about your motivation for this event, why you decided to agree to be expert judges this year. Matt, would you like to start?
Sure. Yeah. No. First of all, thanks for the time, and thanks for having us on. It's really appreciated, and I think it's important to have a discussion about kind of what's valuable in the space, and we appreciate the opportunity to just be here and chat. I think this event is really unique. In the space, there's a lot that people can spend their time on. The day gets quite busy, and people get caught up with the tasks and responsibilities of their work and their world, if you will. But really, innovation is the lifeblood of medical affairs. Whether it's kind of interrogating science or sharing it out with clinicians and stakeholders, but we rarely get a real chance to kind of dive deep into what's coming and what's going to help inspire and inform our stakeholders. And I think you've really carved out a nice kind of opportunity to do that here. And I think it's really just an opportunity to kind of contribute to the community and help others see what's coming. So I think that's why I participate, and I hope that others kind of feel similarly.
Thanks, Matt. Michael?
Yeah, so likewise, thank you for the opportunity. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm reminded of the cartoon, I'm sure it's decades old now, where an old man is carrying an enormous box of heavy things like across a desert. And somebody offers him a wheel, and he goes, "No, I don't have time to make changes." And I'm not for a minute suggesting that medical affairs is in that position, but I do think, to Matt's point, we get stuck in the day-to-day very easily, and don't set aside the right amount of time and energy to think about how to do things differently, how to improve, how to get better. And so having a set time and a set program like the Innovation Olympics to say, this is a venue, this is a crucible for getting better at medical affairs, that's very exciting to me. And that's why I'm happy to be a judge.
Thank you both very much. And I think you both really captured that inspiration for this event that I had in mind, in terms of what it really matters in the day-to-day world for many of our colleagues, which is that pause that you have to take and to reflect in a way that is convenient, that's on demand, and that invites a forum of sorts, stretched out over 16 days this year compared to 1 month last year. So I'll get into the format in just a bit, but I want to make sure that those of you who are tuning in now, this is a very important opportunity to ask Matt and Michael questions, because there are all-star expert judges who will be probably limited into what they will be able to say once September kicks in, September 18th. And so make sure to ask questions, start a conversation on LinkedIn. But we'll ask each other also some questions later on to get a better idea of their expectations, what they'd like to see, some of the topics, some of the categories that will be contested. Okay. So with that, I will share with you the slogan this year. first of all. The slogan is quite ambitious, right? It's reclaim our health, revive our planet, right? So it is intended for us in medical affairs to understand how it is that we ultimately connect our personal health, our mark that we leave in the patient's lives and their outcomes, into the overall environment, society, right? Into our globe, right? And so it's quite ambitious, but it's meant to make new advances in what we really understand ESG to really be, and how medical affairs can play a role in operationalize some of our contributions, on healthcare quality, on access, continuity, and healthcare quality as well. Last year, the slogan was "Dare to Share for Our Healthcare," to gain new momentum in medical affairs. However, since last year, I've seen a lot of advances in the type of information that we share with each other in our industry, not only in the drug launches and collaborations, but R&D, sharing drug databases, drug target interaction databases among 10 of the largest companies, an initiative called Melody, while conserving intellectual property through federated learning. And so this year, we're kind of raising the stakes and taking a pause, like both of you mentioned, and thinking a little bit globally and over the long term. The topics that are of interest and that I think will raise a little bit of intrigue here are access. How can we play a more proactive role in connecting patients to clinical trials, real world evidence, generate evidence, and also continuity. If we can share our insights more continuously across our organizations, perhaps we can also influence healthcare information to be shared more continuously, and interoperability of electronic medical records. Should the patient really be the person that owns their own health records when they move from one hospital to another? Is there technology to allow them to do that? And then ultimately measuring our own accountability in new ways. And how does that really tie directly into the quality of healthcare overall and patient outcomes? And so these are some of the ideas that we're encouraging this year. Being able to understand how our contributions ultimately improve and inspire investments into healthcare, health economics, but also the longevity, right, sustainability of our environment, with the three themes listed below. Now, as I planned this event, Michael and Matt, I thought that innovation needs inspiration, right? But it also requires some incentives and ultimately investment of our time and resources. So it's structured a little bit differently from last year because it's no longer free, first of all, for people to attend. So it's a very transitional and a critical year for this event because of the value that it created for many who participated, competitors who advanced, and including those who didn't advance, who referenced this meeting as one that was instrumental in their partnerships and their success. And there was a lot of networking going on, right? So that's why there's a registration fee for competitors of $250, and for attendees $350. But also there are incentives in prizes that individuals and organizations who compete will be able to use immediately to advance their ideas, to enhance them. $10,000, $5,000, $3,000 for the gold, silver, and bronze medals, respectively. Now, a little bit about the format. The registration is now open. You can go to the Biopharma website to register there, as well as a direct link, which I will post in the comments. It'll start with a live stream opening ceremony. We have some amazing speakers from both commercial. We have an Olympic, 5-time Olympic gold medalist speaking. We have a CEO of a pharma company and longevity company, James Peyer, who's one of the most inspirational speakers I've heard over the last year, among others, other leaders as well, in emotional intelligence, PhDs in leadership, in values-driven leadership. So that's the opening ceremony will inspire everyone to compete, and there will be 2 rounds of elimination after the first week on September 22nd, followed by second week in September 29th, and we'll narrow down the field to 8 ideas, which will then debate via live streams October 2nd to determine the winners on October 4th. So that's a little bit about the format. I want to take a little pause here and ask Matt and Michael about the format. How does this really compare or relate to other innovation events, or how does it relate to an opportunities for innovators out there in the healthcare and their opportunities in terms of its format? Any comments?
I'll start. I can't speak to the rest of healthcare, but I think I can speak to medical affairs. I don't think it compares. I think it's unique, both in the concept of having a multi-week progressive, includes speakers, narrows it down, time for reflection. It's not, 2 or 3 people, go back into a quiet room, and then 30 minutes later, boom, they have the decision. There's prizes. I think it's an innovative format that really stands alone, and that I think encourages innovation, as you'd expect from the title, right? So I'm really looking forward to see what the participants have to offer.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think last year was like a little bit of a unknown quantity, if you will, because the field at large, whether it's R&D or medical or patient engagement or the broader space, like really hadn't seen anything like this, and still hasn't. But for when it was first introduced last year, I think people were like, what do I expect? Like, what am I going to get out of this? It's a lot of time, but what's the value? And I think it delivered and was quite successful, both in terms of surfacing ideas for innovation, but also being able to kind of see what might work in certain contexts and kind of be considered in the roles and kind of responsibilities that people that are attending have in their actual kind of working lives. Now that we're kind of on year 2, if you will, I think it's a little less kind of risky, at least in people's minds potentially. And there might be people tuning in now or that are going to see this on repeat, if you will, that for them it's the first time, but it's not the first time it's being implemented. And I think the fact that it's matured a bit in terms of the structure and responsibilities, should give some people comfort in the sense that it's at a point where it's a little bit more of a known entity in the sense that you can, if you attend this type of activity, it's fairly likely that you'll be exposed to a wide array of different considerations in the innovation sphere that, unless you have the word innovation in your title, it's probably not likely you'll come across these types of stakeholders or entities on a daily basis, and hopefully bring something new and some fresh thinking into your world that hopefully improves the lives of patients out there in the community.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. We've built a track record of sorts, and that's why I'm so excited and really confident that this event will be valuable to many of you tuning in live, or those who are going to watch the replay, because of also some of the metrics and some of the data that I've collected from last year, and I've spoken to a lot of the judges and made some enhancements and some modifications in terms of the time for the event. But you, as a competitor or as an attendee, you have a very unique opportunity to network, to develop, to enhance your ideas because of the format here. Look, there is a registration fee here associated with it, and because it's meant to create a community of Olympians, right? Of Olympians with that Olympic spirit of sportsmanship in our industry, right? Really combining that intellectual humility from sports athletes and learning how to compete even a little bit better in medical affairs, and also sharing with each other the scientific method and the rigor, right? And how can we apply it in our in healthcare, in our daily operations as well. So you touched on a little bit who can register, and I want to just go over some of those details very quickly. This is just the registration site. We have the expert judges and speakers also who have now been confirmed. But whether or not you're an employee, or have any previous experience working in medical affairs, consulting, volunteering, or you've interacted with them, right? So if you're in clinical development, if you're in sales and marketing, and you have an idea that can enhance medical affairs, or how we communicate with other functions, you're welcome to attend as well. So this is one of the differences, by the way, from last year, Matt, Michael, where I'm broadening a little bit the scope of who can register. And the deadline is September 18th at 9 a.m. Now, I will give one tip away here, is that the one competitor that actually was the first one to register last year ended up winning the competition. They started in fourth place, and they edged out their competition. In the final, in the semifinal and final, it was a progression, and so you saw a lot of changes in leadership as well throughout the event. Now, what are the event categories? There's 6 event categories, and they're listed here. Okay, evidence generation, scientific communication, field medical operations, medical insights, and medical strategy and launch. So I've added 2 more categories to last year. And so the overall winner will be determined across these categories. So the prizes that I mentioned for the gold, silver, and bronze. However, the winners in these individual events will have unique opportunities for blog articles, for the Medical Affairs Professional Society Innovate article, in which they'll be featured, as well as podcasts. So they'll be able to continue and to build on their message. You may be wondering what kind of ideas are welcome, and there's also quite a large scope of ideas and proposals that are going to be reviewed and encouraged. And the interesting thing is, you will have a dedicated page, a showcase page as a competitor to your idea, via links, videos. You can post photos, and the expert judges such as Michael and Matt and others, and we have many others as well. They'll be asking you questions in that page that will belong to you, both publicly and privately, and you'll be able to modify your idea as well throughout the course of the competition. Okay, so of course I do have to mention that you have to own the idea if it's a proprietary one. So if you work for an employer, or a client, a contract organization, we advise for you to get approval for sharing that idea. And very importantly, what I didn't mention was that we're looking for new ideas that were initiated after September 1st of last year, as I mentioned here. Which means that even last year's competitors, if they have a new product, if they have new proposals, they're also welcome to compete, as long as they can demonstrate that they were initiated within the last year. Because this is an annual event. This is an annual event. It's an Olympics, but in medical affairs, where publications double every 73 days, I think you have to have an innovation event take place every year. That's my argument and assessment. And just also, you will receive special awards and recognitions at the closing ceremony as well, for various features or attributes of your ideas that are noteworthy. Okay, and they're listed here as well. Okay, so that's a little bit on the prizes, the registration criteria. And now, why should our leaders and innovators who are listening to this register as a competitor, as an attendee? What are some of your objective thoughts here as expert judges that you would want to share with our colleagues?
I mean, I haven't been an attendee. Sorry, Michael, I haven't been an attendee, but I can just like try to project vicariously, perhaps. I mean, I did speak with a number of the attendees last year as the program went on, if you will, and I can say that this was an energetic, enthusiastic, intelligent, really kind of thoughtful group of innovators that had in many cases fairly advanced considerations of somewhat tested ideas, in the marketplace that were sometimes pre-revenue, sometimes post-revenue, but that needed some additional consideration, perhaps some additional kind of explication with folks like Michael, myself, the other judges, to just round out their ideas a bit, to get to a place where they actually maybe could ingest another data set, or could be kind of considered in a different light. And it is challenging, I think, as an innovator. I like to think of myself as more of like an innovation catalyst, if you will. But as a direct innovator, it is tough, I would imagine, to find a group of innovation catalysts and just be able to have a conversation about what works and what we've seen fail, and when kind of the gap between those, and be able to share a little bit of perspective and shed some kind of daylight, if you will, on that, and help kind of raise up what's possible. So I think just access to the community and kind of thinking about what might kind of progress forward is a consideration. On the other side, I think I didn't contribute financially last year to pay to participate, but I think if I had, it may have encouraged me to actually join more of the sessions, because knowing that had something kind of in it, a little bit of skin in the game, so to speak. Maybe I would have been able to join a little bit more frequently. It's challenging always, I think, with our busy schedules to participate in anything, with the things that come up. But having, a registration fee and having the ability to kind of know that that's kind of on the schedule is, I think, helpful. So, I think the way things are organized this time around makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to that. I think exposure to a like-minded community of creative thinkers, as Matt said, is number one. And number two, the opportunity to get feedback on an interesting idea that is not necessarily fully baked. It's like venture capitalism. You have an idea, you pitch it to as many people as possible, you get feedback, you iterate. We don't do a lot of that in medical affairs traditionally, and I think this is a good opportunity for it.
Yep. Thank you. And when I think about my own career, the path, looking back in my first year, as a postdoctoral fellow, when I was working also part-time, I was in a pharmacy as a PharmD, and also working at a pharma industry full-time, but for a contractor type of fellowship kind of compensation. I had come across this one conference, which was very expensive for me at the time. It was a big it took a big investment, but I made that investment. It was a turning point for my career, because I ended up networking with someone who helped me land one of my first interviews. The other two at the time were also from mentors that I had developed, and friends, throughout, which is probably a story that many can relate with. But I think it's important for those of you, who are considering, okay, why should I invest in this type of meeting? I think that it's pretty clear that there is a very unique type of shared experience that we created last year, and it's a memorable type of meeting that's a little bit different from a typical conventional conference that you'll attend. And therefore, because it's memorable, because it's a different kind of setting, you're able to develop more deeper connections with your colleagues as well. So it's an investment that I think that I hope that you will make and you will consider this coming September. A little bit about the criteria evaluation very quickly, and some of the points both of you made about agility, I think, right, and agility of critical thinking. I want to address that real quick. There will be 5 criteria, and Matt, Michael, and the other judges will evaluate your ideas based on these 5 criteria: the validity, predictability, causality, novelty, and applicability of your idea to the problem that you identify in one of these 3 topics: access, continuity, or quality. They'll score them from 1 to 10 each, so there's a maximum of 50 points, and so you will see that transparently. Okay, you will see that being displayed transparently to everyone. And also, very importantly, the live stream debate has a very interesting and unique format, because once you advance to the semifinals, all of the 8 competitors will be seeded or ranked 1 to 8, and they'll be broken up into 2 different semifinals, and they'll get a chance to present their new iteration of their idea. Any changes from the original are allowed based on the comments you will have received. Competitors will ask each other questions, judges will ask questions, but the interesting thing is that the judges will be voting throughout after every single presentation, but only the final votes will count. And last year, what we saw was, even in the semifinals and finals, you saw judges change their mind, right? And you saw somebody who was ranked first being ranked third at the end. And that's the kind of agility of thinking and that we're trying to really inspire here. Michael, to your comment, and Matt as well. So that's a little bit of a preview. And I'll just end with the sponsorship options as well. So those of you who may be watching, maybe an agency partner in pharma, in biotech, in drug devices, drug diagnostics, and you have an opportunity to join Amadev Pharma, my agency, which is investing my time and resources into innovation, right? Being innovation catalysts, as all of us, those who share the same vision for elevating medical affairs, for connecting with other stakeholders, internally and externally. You have a very unique opportunity. I think it's a tremendous opportunity to demonstrate your support and to the cause and to the future of medical affairs. Any comments on the various different opportunities to participate, including sponsorships as well, or anything else you'd like to just end with here before we start to advance, our discussions and review our ideas that we receive.
Just to say that for a thought for potential sponsors, this audience is going to be exceptionally engaged. It's not like a traditional conference where you can multitask, and if you don't like something, you're going to kind of sign out. This is going to attract a particularly engaged, particularly creative group, and I would think that would be the level of audience that sponsors would want.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I'd say, there's nothing like the Medical Affairs Innovation Olympics in our space, and that's a good thing. If you care about the future of our space and kind of what it means for our community and the patients we serve, that this is something to consider attending for sure.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I follow both of you. As you know, I watch you speak, watch you judge other innovation events as well. And I'm really glad that both of you will be joining me and all of our fellow Olympians. Thank you very much for your time, Michael and Matt. And if you have any comments or questions for both of them, please comment, contact them, contact me. And with that, have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Thanks.